Iran has doubled down on its warning to Washington and Tel Aviv, just as it begins the grand funeral of its slain supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Ebrahim Rezaei, the spokesman for the Iranian parliament's National Security and Foreign Policy Commission, had already warned that Tehran could reconsider its nuclear commitments if attacked again, while Katz's later threat against Iran's current supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, sharpened Iran's military warnings. And Rezaei did not speak in vague terms. He named a number the entire world understands. In a post on X, Rezaei said, and I quote, "One of Iran's options in the event of another attack could be 90% enrichment. We will review it in the parliament," end quote. 90% is the level associated with weapons-grade material, a line Iran has long insisted it would not cross. To be precise, this was framed as a conditional option to be debated in parliament, not a decision already taken. But the fact that a senior parliamentary figure is saying it out loud, in public, at a moment like this, marks a dramatic hardening of Iran's nuclear language. That earlier warning now hangs over one of the most significant state funerals in Iran's modern history. On Friday, a procession passed by the coffins of the slain supreme leader and members of his family. State media, quoted by the Associated Press, described security forces carrying Khamenei's coffin overhead by hand as it arrived at the Grand Musalla in Tehran, where his remains sat on a stage with red tulips placed before it. Religious leaders walked past his coffin and those of his slain family, including, according to state media, his 14-month-old granddaughter. And this is only the beginning. Ceremonies are set to begin on July 4th in Tehran, with the late leader's body transported through several cities in Iran and in neighboring Iraq before his burial in his hometown of Mashhad on July 9th. Millions are expected to mourn the man who, according to Iranian officials, was killed in strikes on the opening day of the war. For the Iranian state, the sheer scale of this funeral is more than grief. It is a declaration of unity and defiance, staged in front of the entire world. Against that backdrop, Iran's military has issued a blunt warning of its own. Commander Ali Abdollahi declared that any attack during this sensitive period would trigger harsh retaliation. In his words, "We warn the enemies of Iran, especially the US, and, as he put it, the Zionist regime, to avoid any miscalculation, and to think about the harsh retaliation our armed forces would make to any threat and aggression against our country," end quote. It is a message designed to deter a strike while the nation is focused inward, and to make clear that mourning has not dulled Iran's readiness to respond. The trigger for the latest military and diplomatic warnings, according to the reporting, was Katz himself. The Israeli defense minister reportedly said that Mojtaba Khamenei, the man who has just inherited the leadership, was marked for death. Those reported comments have further inflamed already soaring tensions, and Tehran treated them as a direct threat against its leadership. Iran says any threat against its leaders or its people will be met with an immediate and decisive response. Meanwhile, security has been tightened across the country, with temporary airspace restrictions imposed over Tehran, Mashhad, and other major cities as the ceremonies intensify. And while the funeral unfolds, a separate standoff has erupted over Iran's nuclear program itself. Tehran has flatly rejected international inspections of the nuclear facilities bombed by the United States. Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, Iran's parliament speaker and chief negotiator, dismissed reports that the UN nuclear watchdog would be granted access to the bombed sites, calling those claims completely false on Iranian state television. According to Ghalibaf, Tehran does not accept that International Atomic Energy Agency inspectors have the right, under the current terms, to inspect the facilities targeted by US strikes, including the strategically vital Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan sites, all of which sit at the center of international concern. He insisted that agency access remains limited to just two locations, the Bushehr nuclear power plant and the Tehran research reactor, signaling that Tehran is refusing to open its damaged nuclear infrastructure under the current terms. The message Tehran appears to be sending behind the legal language is unmistakable. The sites that were attacked, in Iran's view, are now a matter of national security first and international transparency second, and any access will have to be negotiated on terms Tehran accepts. That position collides directly with the UN's nuclear watchdog. IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi says existing agreements require inspectors to verify conditions on the ground, and that the agency must eventually gain access to the relevant facilities. By his own account, the two sides have barely begun discussing the practical details, the frequency of visits, the sites to be seen, after an initial technical exchange in Switzerland. The broader memorandum created a 60-day window for the difficult issues, while Iran and the IAEA are still working through what any inspections would look like. But the core point, in Grossi's reading, is simple. There is an agreement, and to comply with it, inspectors will need the access Iran is currently refusing, which means the next 60 days are not just about diplomacy. They are a test of whether the deal that paused this war can survive contact with its hardest question.
So I believe that perhaps this sometimes less than clear statements from one or the other, or contradictory, I should rather say, contradictory statements, owe a bit to that factor, that this is political positioning. But in reality, there is an agreement, and to comply with that agreement, the IAEA will have to have access and inspect. So I am prepared to continue the technical work and to be there as soon as possible. I think the objective of this agreement is to ensure that there is no development of nuclear weapons in Iran. The government of Iran has affirmed quite clearly that this is not their intention, but of course intentions are not enough. We have to have a very strong verification system in place. There is an agreement, and to comply with that agreement, the IAEA will have to have access and inspect. So I am prepared to continue the technical work and to be there as soon as possible.
Put it all together, and the Middle East is once again on edge. A grieving, defiant nation is burying its leader in front of millions. Its parliament is openly floating weapons-grade enrichment if it is attacked again. Its military is warning against any miscalculation, and its most sensitive bombed nuclear sites remain closed to inspectors under the current terms, leaving the world guessing about what remains inside Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. With emotions running high and military rhetoric escalating on every side, the region now braces for what could become another dangerous flashpoint in an already volatile conflict. The funeral will end on July 9th in Mashhad. The warnings that surround it will not. And whether the coming weeks bring verification and calm, or another spiral of threats and strikes, may be decided by how Washington, Tel Aviv, and Tehran read each other in this fragile, grief-charged moment. Subscribe to WLA for daily geopolitical analysis.